The council chamber of Solarius Prime was built to inspire awe. Towering crystal spires rose high above the dome, refracting the twin suns into a kaleidoscope of swirling color. Beneath the gleaming architecture sat the most powerful leaders. In the galaxy, 12 species, ancient and proud, who claimed to be the arbiters of interstellar law and peace. Humanity stood among them. Or rather, in front of them alone, on trial. Ambassador Lila Hart, Earth's representative, stood at the center of the chamber's circular floor. Her posture was straight, eyes unwavering. Behind her, the Earth delegation watched in cold silence. Centuries of diplomacy, countless treaties, and years of cooperative trade now hung by a thread. The Serati Chancellor Rovax flicked his claws over the floating holodocuments and addressed the chamber. This council has reviewed the actions of the Terran species, he declared, his voice amplified by the chamber's acoustics. And it finds humanity incompatible with the collective vision of peace and progress. A low hum rippled through the council seats. Not surprised, no. This had been coming. But the finality of it still landed with weight. The Serati hated humanity's unpredictability. The Zakalan viewed their technology as reckless. The Yaru considered them emotionally unstable. And above all, the elder races feared what humans might yet become. You accuse us of aggression, Layla replied. Calmly, yet it was Terran ships that stopped the blood plague from reaching Zakalan space. You call us reckless, yet it was Earth that repaired the Kellen Rift before it consumed 3 inhabited systems. Rovax waved a claw dismissively. Your interventions are unsanctioned. Your use of AI warframes, cybernetic soldiers, and terraforming drones violate council norms. You refuse to submit your technological advancements for shared review. Your species acts unilaterally. You are dangerous. The word echoed across the chamber like a sentence. Dangerous. Lila's face did not twitch, but her hands clenched behind her back. She had heard whispers for years. That Earth was too new, too bold, that humans adapted too fast, learned too quickly, fought too well. Their refusal to kneel to older species. Traditions made them suspicious. Their rapid growth? Intolerable. A dozen voices now rose to cast their votes, one by one. The Serati voted to expel. The Zakalan followed. The Alari hesitated but relented. Only 2 species abstained. Earth had no vote. Not today. The chamber's central core, a luminous pillar of blue crystal, pulsed once. A final tally confirmed what everyone already knew. By majority decision, Rovax said, Earth is hereby expelled from the High Galactic Council. Your rights, privileges, and protections under council law are revoked, effective immediately. Leave this chamber. A few delegates looked away in discomfort. Others watched with something close to satisfaction. Lila took a breath. Behind her, Commander Raj Patel, military attached to the Terran fleet, subtly tapped a message into his datapad. The signal went directly to Earth's orbital command. They'd prepared for this moment. You will regret this, Layla said. Not as a threat, but as a prophecy. We already regret allowing your species in, Rovax sneered. Lila walked slowly to the exit, flanked by her team. As she reached the massive archway that led out of the council chamber, she paused. Then she turned back not to plead, but to speak. For centuries, she said, her voice now amplified by her own uplink, we tried to fit into your mold. We accepted your rules, even when they favored your empires and stifled our growth. But Earth is not a colony. We do not serve. And now we are free. She stepped through the arch, and the banner of Earth, once proudly displayed beside the Fafeta, other species standards, was lowered from its place and stored away. Unceremoniously. Council proceedings resumed moments later as if nothing had happened. But something had changed. A shift, subtle but seismic. A force no longer shackled by Council authority had been unleashed. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was now a rogue actor, a wild card. And while the Council believed they had removed a threat, they had, in truth, awakened something far greater. After Earth's expulsion from the High Galactic Council, there was no protest, no declarations, no retaliation. There was only silence to most Council species. This was seen as acceptance, a quiet retreat from the galactic stage, the Serati. Chancellor even remarked that the Terrans have finally learned their place. But deep beneath Earth's surface and across her far-flung colonies, a transformation was already underway. The silence was not surrender. It was recalibration. For too long, Earth had operated under the Council's thumb. Progress was strangled by bureaucracy. Innovations were shelved, deemed too disruptive. Military initiatives were restricted. Expansion programs vetoed, and even humanitarian missions were subject to endless oversight. Earth had played along believing that unity meant compromise. But now? Humanity was free. Within days of the expulsion, the United Terran Coalition activated Project Atlas, a multi-pronged initiative that had been quietly developed for decades, in anticipation of a moment just like this. It included weapon systems, colonization efforts, AI advancements, and experimental technologies previously classified as Council illegal. The first wave was infrastructure. Terraforming fleets departed from Titan, Europa, and the Martian shipyards, bound for uninhabited systems once denied to Earth by Council restrictions. Within months, barren moons bloomed with green domes and artificial atmospheres. Automated cities rose overnight, populated by enhanced settlers and AI caretakers. Then came the second wave, technology. Under Council law, sentient AI, self-replicating. Drones and bio-integrated soldiers were strictly forbidden, threats to galactic stability, the Council had argued. Earth had complied. Publicly, at least. But in secure Terran archives, those projects had never stopped. Now they were unleashed. The artificial intelligence known as LUCID was uploaded into the Terran defense grid, creating a quantum-linked command and control system spanning hundreds of light years. Within days, humanity's fleets operated with a level of speed and precision other civilizations couldn't comprehend. Human soldiers, volunteers enhanced with cybernetic neural links, bone reinforcement, and dynamic combat. Implants underwent rapid deployment drills in virtual gravity simulators. Council envoys had once ridiculed such body modification. Now those same envoys couldn't even track Terran operatives on the battlefield. Earth's research stations, freed from oversight, resumed forbidden studies, dark matter stabilization, zero-point reactors, graviton manipulation. What once took decades now took months. Terran ships began appearing with no identifiable drive signatures, blinking in and out of known space like phantoms. But perhaps the most remarkable change was the unity. For the first time in recorded history, Earth's nations long fragmented by centuries of cultural and political division stood as one. The humiliation of being cast out galvanized them. From the oceanic cities of the Pacifica Alliance to the Martian domes of the Red Accord, there was no debate. The galaxy didn't want humanity, so humanity would build its own galaxy. Even the fees. Colonies, long held back by Council trade regulations and supply bottlenecks, now surged forward. On the edge of what had once been neutral space, Terran ships reached abandoned alien megastructures, repairing and repurposing them as defensive bastions and research nodes. Outposts once thought irrelevant began lighting up with activity. One such location, Vesta Station, had been a minor mining facility until Earth retrofitted it into a hub for quantum data transmission and fleet coordination. From there, humanity began mapping the stars without the Council's limited lens. They started establishing routes to the unexplored void sectors long abandoned due to Council caution. Earth didn't need permission anymore. The Council tried to peer into Terran activities. Surveillance probes vanished. Spy ships were found drifting in space, deactivated and tagged with a single message: "You watch, we build." Some Council members grew nervous. The Serati declared Earth a rogue state. The Yaru demanded sanctions. But with Earth no longer bound by Council laws, those sanctions meant little. And the truth was spreading. Earth was growing faster, much faster than anyone expected. And Earth said, "Nothing. No threats, no broadcasts, no taunts, only silence." That silence, once seen as weakness, was beginning to feel like something else. Something cold, calculated, ominous. Some speculated Earth was simply retreating. Others believed they were plotting revenge. But no one knew for sure, because Earth no longer played by anyone's rules. They were writing new ones. Rules not born of fragile diplomacy or stagnant tradition, but forged in the crucible of exile, driven by necessity, sharpened by betrayal. 2 decades after Earth's banishment, the galaxy had changed, but not in the way the Council expected. They had imagined a Terran collapse, rebellion from within, economic ruin, perhaps even civil war. Instead, humanity flourished like a star, forging new elements in its core, compressed by pressure, but burning hotter than ever. The first true crack in the Council's dominance came not from Earth, but from the Council's own failure. The Arcani Syndicate, a ruthless militaristic species known for piracy and expansionist brutality, launched a surprise invasion against the peaceful Zelathi Commonwealth. The Zelathi, a fragile aquatic race with limited military capabilities, sent an urgent plea for Council assistance. It was ignored. For weeks, the Council argued over logistics, protocol, and political consequences. By the time they authorized preliminary discussions, dozens of Zelathi colonies had fallen. Millions were dead. Their oceans boiled by Arcani plasma bombardments. And then, unannounced and without warning, they came. A Terran warfleet, black-hulled, silent, bearing no Council transponders, descended from slipspace just beyond Zelathi Prime. They didn't negotiate. Within hours, the Arcani fleet was dismantled. Precision strikes shattered command cruisers. Autonomous Terran drones pierced their defensive grids like scalpels. Even Arcani reinforcements arriving from nearby systems were intercepted by gravity net traps, laid minutes prior by Terran scouts. It was clinical, efficient, terrifying. The entire battle lasted 5 hours. Zelathi Prime was left untouched. Civilian infrastructure intact. Not a single Terran casualty reported. And then came the message broadcast on all public galactic frequencies in hundreds of languages. "You failed them. We did not. We do not wait for permission to stop genocide. This is the line. Earth draws it now." The galaxy was stunned. Even species long sympathetic to Earth were left speechless. The Council called it interference, illegal military aggression, and a violation of sovereign protocol. But to countless smaller, vulnerable civilizations across the stars, it was hope. In the following weeks, an unexpected coalition began to form, the Iron Star Accords. It started with the Zelathi, of course, but others followed quickly. The insectoid Arvax, the nomadic Falari, the orbital city builders of Sorellin, and dozens more species who had never felt protected by the Council. They had no desire to conquer. They wanted peace, but not peace that came from cowardice and inaction. They wanted the kind of peace Earth had delivered over Zelathi skies. Swift, enforced, and real. Terran diplomats, once silenced in council chambers, now sat at the head of negotiating tables. The Accords were unlike anything the Council had ever built. There was no endless voting. No class hierarchy of elder species. Every member had equal weight, and the charter was simple. Aid those in need, punish those who exploit, and protect free development at all costs. And Earth didn't just lead the Accords. They elevated them. In a display of transparency. Terran. AI systems were offered freely to member worlds for logistical support and defense planning. Supply chains were optimized using Earth's quantum engines. Food scarcity, power outages, and medical shortages in the new member worlds were resolved within months. Where the Council had offered oversight and promises, Earth delivered infrastructure and security. But there was more to the Accords than just assistance. There were laws. Laws enforced by something no species had seen before. The Iron Vanguard. These were Terran peacekeeping ships, crewed by volunteers from all member worlds, trained in Terran tactical schools, equipped with defensive tech that rendered most known weapons obsolete. They didn't conquer, they deterred. They didn't threaten, they watched. And when necessary, they acted, without red tape or hesitation. Under the Iron Star Accords, piracy dropped by 80% in less than a galactic cycle. Illegal gene harvesting rings in Council-controlled sectors were dismantled by Iron Vanguard raids, often to the Council's embarrassment. Species once ignored by the galaxy now had their voices heard. Their cultures preserved. Their planets protected. And the galaxy was noticing. Council species began to whisper. Some wondered if they had misjudged humanity. Others feared their own. People might demand to join the Accords. A few hawkish factions even proposed military action against Earth, only to be met with quiet warnings from internal advisors. You won't win. They're too far ahead. But Earth never gloated. When the Council broadcast condemnations, Earth responded with silence. When accused of undermining galactic order, Earth responded with results. And as the Accords expanded, even a few Council members, once proud and untouchable, began sending envoys, seeking cooperation. Because in a galaxy where chaos could erupt in a single solar flare, only one power was delivering stability. Not through ancient laws, not through privilege, but through action. The High Galactic Council had once ruled with confidence, seated upon a foundation of tradition, diplomacy, and presumed superiority. Its 12 core species, the so-called founding races, believed themselves eternal, arbiters of peace and order in the galaxy. But now, they were losing control. For the first time in recorded interstellar history, the Council's words no longer carried weight. Its decrees were ignored, its authority questioned. And worst of all, its fear, the unspoken weapon used to suppress. Lesser species was gone. The galaxy was shifting. One by one, member worlds defected to the Iron Star Accords. What began as a sanctuary for the vulnerable had become a beacon of hope and stability. The Zalathi, the Arvax, the Sorellan, and others had proven the model worked. Their populations were thriving, their borders secure. Trade was flowing efficiently, transparently. Infrastructure built in months, not decades. Earth and its allies provided what the Council never could: results. The Council tried to mask its decline behind elaborate ceremonies, empty proclamations, and increasingly paranoid restrictions. But the truth was undeniable. Its member species, once passive, compliant, and subservient, were now asking dangerous questions. Why do we still obey a council that let millions die on Zelathi Prime? Why is our technology 200 years behind the Terrans? Why are the pirates afraid of the Iron Star fleets, but not us? The cracks grew deeper with the arrival of the Vorian plague. It started in the outer colonies of the Venari Commonwealth fever, tissue liquefaction, and rapid nervous collapse. Highly infectious, completely incurable by council medicine. Within weeks, it had spread to 6 star systems, and the council did what it always did: convened subcommittees, argued over jurisdiction, and delayed. By the time a response force was approved, the death toll had passed 90 million. The Iron Star Confederation, by contrast, had already responded. Terran medical vessels equipped with nanoclinics and AI diagnostics arrived within 3 days of the first call for help. With assistance from Sorellan Biotechs and Arvax engineers, they isolated the vector, synthesized treatment strains, and stabilized the infected zones before council bureaucrats had even dispatched their envoys. Then came the leak. An anonymous Terran AI, later identified only as Echo 7, penetrated the council's secured networks and uploaded a data package titled "Truth is Not Treason." The contents were devastating. It included decades of sealed documents, trade deals between elite council members that had starved hundreds of outer colonies, evidence of species-specific embargoes designed to prevent lesser races from achieving parity, orders to suppress emerging technologies on developing worlds, internal communications, discussing the deliberate slow rolling of aid during the Vorian plague to avoid setting precedent. The galaxy exploded. In outrage, protests erupted on council-aligned worlds. Several species demanded full investigations. Some demanded trials. The council claimed the data was fake, Terran manipulation, a smear campaign, but they were lying and everyone knew it. The final blow came not from war, but from choice, when the Sidari, one of the 12 founding species, formally withdrew from the council and joined the Iron Star Accords. It shattered the illusion of permanence. Their statement was clear and unflinching. We are no longer honored to sit at a table built on arrogance, fear, and stagnation. We choose progress. We choose accountability. We choose Earth. In response, 3 more species followed. The Council attempted retaliation, sanctions, political threats, embargoes, but Earth's technology had rendered them irrelevant. Terran shipping lanes were now independent. Quantum network relays powered instant communication and commerce beyond Council reach. And the Iron Star fleets ensured those who tried to blockade or intimidate quickly found themselves outmaneuvered and outgunned. Within a single galactic cycle, the High Council was reduced to a hollow shell. Its chambers, once filled with delegates, now echoed with absence. Petitions piled up unanswered. Treaties sat unsigned. Its centralized servers flickered with maintenance warnings. Unable to even coordinate their own crumbling bureaucracy. And the galaxy simply moved on. Where once the council dictated law, now it merely watched irrelevant, obsolete. Because power no longer came from heritage or hierarchy. It came from those who acted when others hesitated, those who led when others postured. And the species once banished, once labeled a threat, they had not just built something better. They had replaced the old, quietly, relentlessly, permanently. Council had cast humanity out to preserve the status quo. Instead, they had created something far more terrifying. A Terran-led galaxy where results, not rhetoric, wrote the rules. In the ruins of the old order, something new had taken root. Where once the High Galactic Council presided from its gleaming towers on Solarius Prime, now those halls sat empty, overgrown by time and silence. The stars no longer answered to the Council. They turned, instead, toward Earth. And Earth did not come alone. The Iron Star Confederation had expanded into a vast, intricate network of cooperation. Over 100 species now called it home, not out of fear or subjugation, but by choice. Its foundation wasn't conquest. It was clarity, simplicity, accountability, the one thing the Council had always failed to offer. At the heart of this new order stood Lila Hart, once a shamed ambassador, now Grand Arbiter of the Confederation. A position born not of politics, but of action. She had not climbed to power through manipulation or heritage. She had earned it through war, diplomacy, and endurance. Her face appeared now across every galactic channel. Broadcast love to trillions. Behind her, atop the city tower of New Geneva on Earth's lunar capital, fluttered the banner of the Iron Star, a ring of blackened steel encasing a golden spark, symbolizing unity forged through adversity. Today, she began, we set the foundation of the galaxy's future. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. The Council ruled through tradition, through illusion, through fear. But we are not here to carry their legacy. We are here to replace it. All around her, in orbital platforms and planetary assemblies, species of all shapes and forms listened silent, breath held. The laws of the stars, ratified this day, will be universal. And unlike those that came before, they will be enforced not by privilege, but by shared consequence. The laws were not arbitrary. They had been forged from 2 decades of war, exile, rebirth, and cooperation. The right to defense, ensuring no species was ever again left unprotected or preyed upon for weakness. The right to advancement, which guaranteed technological support and knowledge sharing for developing civilizations, without restriction or discrimination. The right to preservation, protecting not only sentient life, but the environments and ecosystems that sustained it. The right to voice, where each member, no matter how small, held equal weight in decisions. And the law of immediate aid, requiring any known threat to life be met with action, not discussion. There were no loopholes, no exemptions. Violations were handled by the Iron Tribunal, a council of representatives from across the Confederation, advised by Terran AI, and protected by the Iron Vanguard, humanity's elite peacekeeping arm now open to all species. And these weren't ceremonial tokens of enforcement. The Vanguard had already intervened in 7 conflicts before the laws were even finalized, each time preventing slaughter, stabilizing regions, and restoring order faster than any council envoy ever had. As the final articles of law were etched into the Confederation's central databanks, written in every major galactic language and encoded into a stardust archive that could survive a supernova, Lila closed the broadcast with a single statement. You cast us out to silence us. Instead, we found our voice. And now, it speaks for the stars. The galaxy didn't erupt in applause. It didn't need to. It changed. In the months that followed, even the last few holdout council species came forward, not with arrogance, but with humility. Earth did not gloat. Lila welcomed them the same way she had welcomed the smallest refugee species, with dignity, with terms, and with accountability. The last remnants of the Council were folded into the Confederation archives as a historical record, marked clearly. Defunct, replaced by Iron Star Charter. Year 0 ASF after Starfall. On a distant moon, a Terran child in a classroom asked her AI instructor, "Why did the old council hate us?" The AI replied without judgment, "Because they feared change." And what did we do? We became it. By the end of that galactic cycle, the phrase Iron Law became synonymous with justice. Pirate kings fled deeper into the void. Exploiter regimes were overthrown not by Terran armies, but by empowered locals educated, trained, and supported by the Confederation. Trade routes once dominated by corruption now moved under transparent governance. Life expectancy soared. Conflict dropped. The stars had new laws now, not born of tradition, but of trial. Not inherited, but earned. And at their heart stood the species once cast aside, humanity exiled, Underestimated, Unshackled had not just rewritten the rules, had become the authors of the future.